The room smelled of champagne and perfume, the kind of scent that always made me feel out of place. I leaned against the wall near the buffet, pretending to check my phone, though I knew everyone could see my discomfort. Rachel, of course, didn't. Need an audience to make me squirm? She had her friends laughing at some story I wasn't in on. Her high-pitched giggle cutting through the chatter like a knife. "Look at him," she whispered to one of her friends, her eyes rolling so hard. I felt them from across the room, still living in his little apartment like a college kid. It's adorable, in a sad kind of way. I clenched my jaw. "Rachel," I muttered, but she didn't hear me. She was too busy enjoying herself, her friends joining in, snickering behind their champagne glasses. One of them, a tall brunette, with a sharp laugh, added, "Seriously? He still works at that tiny startup? I thought he'd be a failure by now." I forced a laugh, raising my glass. "Yeah, you know me, just keeping life interesting." My voice sounded hollow even too. "Me." Rachel's face lit up, triumphant. "Interesting? That's generous. I call it sad. Look at me, Alex. At least I'm moving up." Alex laughed along, his head tilting slightly back, showing teeth in that easy smile he always carried. But there was something in his eyes, a faint flicker I couldn't read. He glanced at me briefly and I felt my skin crawl. "Rachel, enough," I said, louder this time. My voice cracked slightly, betraying my nerves. "I'm here to celebrate your engagement, not your ego." She turned to me, mock offense plastered on her face. "Oh, come on. You should be used to it by now. Everyone's seen the sad little life you're leading." I stepped closer, trying to keep my cool. "It's not sad, I'm building something. It just takes time," Rachel scoffed, flicking her hair. "Building something? Please don't make me laugh in front of my friends. We're trying to have a classy evening." Alex's laughter stopped mid-air, tilted his head, watching us, not saying a word. For a second, it felt like the room froze, all eyes somehow turning toward me. My anger rose, but I tried to swallow it down, keeping my hands at my sides. "Honestly, Rachel, you always find a way to make me look ridiculous," I muttered under my breath, trying not to let my voice shake. "Oh, I'm ridiculous." "Sweetie, you've been ridiculous since the day you left home with your little dreams," she said, voice loud enough that several guests glanced over. "And Alex, don't pretend you didn't notice." I felt my face flush. Alex didn't say anything immediately, just tilted his head, his smile fading into a calm, unreadable expression. He leaned in slightly toward Rachel, whispering something. I couldn't hear, and he glanced at me again, his eyes piercing. "You're the judge," he said quietly, almost under his breath, but loud enough that I caught it. I froze. "Excuse me?" He looked at me like he was seeing me for the first time, as if weighing something I couldn't understand. "You're the judge, not her. Decide how this plays out." My mind raced. Was he mocking me? Threatening me? Or was there something else entirely? I didn't know if I should be angry or grateful or terrified. Rachel frowned at his expression. "Alex, what are you saying?" Didn't answer her. He just gave me a small, subtle nod, like a secret pass between us, invisible to everyone else. My chest tightened, confusion and curiosity tangled with anger and humiliation. Who was this man, really? "Better explain yourself," I said. Voice low but sharp, my pulse thundering in my ears. "I will," Alex said. Voice soft, measured, almost teasing. "But not here. Not now. Think of tonight as the first impression." Rachel looked between us, her smile faltering slightly. "First impression of what?" Alex turned to her then, calm and composed. "Of me? Of the truth? I'm not your entertainment, Rachel. I'm someone who watches." Her laugh faltered. "What's that supposed to mean?" I felt a small spark of satisfaction. Finally, someone other than me was seeing her for what she was. My sister, the queen of mockery, suddenly didn't seem as untouchable. I cleared my throat, trying to regain some composure. "Congratulations on your engagement, Rachel. Truly." She blinked at me, suspicious, perhaps noticing the edge in my voice now. Alex leaned back slightly, a ghost of a smile on his lips. and the tension between us felt like a charged wire. I didn't know what was coming next. All I knew was that something had shifted tonight. For the first time, I felt that humiliation might not be the final word. And Alex, he was no longer just her fiancé in my eyes. It was something else entirely, something dangerous, something that could change everything. I couldn't sleep. My mind kept replaying Rachel's laughter, the way her friends leaned in, mocking me with every word. Even worse, Alex's comment echoed constantly. "You're the judge?" I didn't know if it was a warning, a threat, or some kind of twisted compliment. Either way, it had unsettled me more than Rachel ever could. I paced my apartment, the hardwood creaking under my steps. My phone buzzed on the table, jolting me. A message from Alex. I hesitated, then opened it. "Meet me tonight, coffee shop." P.M. No explanation, no emojis, just words. My stomach tightened. Why would he want to meet me after the disaster of the engagement party? I called Liam, my old friend from college, partly for distraction, partly for advice. "Liam, you know Rachel, right?" He laughed, a short, sharp sound. "You mean your sister, the public humiliation expert?" "Yeah, what about her?" "I'm serious," I said, pacing again. She's unbearable. And I think Alex isn't exactly well. He doesn't just laugh at her jokes." Liam hummed thoughtfully. I noticed. That guy doesn't fit the mold. He's calm, too calm. "You're in deep water, man. But maybe for once you're not." "Alone?" "Not alone," I asked. "You mean you've seen him do something weird before?" "Let's just say he doesn't play by her rules," Liam said. "I've seen it once or twice. Be careful, though. He's unpredictable." I hung up and stared at the ceiling. Unpredictable. Exactly how I felt right now. By 8, was at the coffee shop, nervously tugging at my shirt. Alex was already there, sitting at a small corner table. His posture relaxed, his hands folded. Calmly, he didn't greet me, didn't smile. He just watched. I cleared my throat. "You wanted to meet?" He nodded once. "Yes," sat opposite him. Silence. My chest tightened. My anger and humiliation from the party rose like fire. "So, what is this about?" I asked finally. He tilted his head slightly. "Observations?" "Observations?" I repeated, frustrated. "You mean like judging me for being humiliated by my own sister?" He didn't answer immediately. He just stared, eyes calm, unreadable. Silence was deliberate, almost suffocating. My fingers drummed against the table. "Are you going to talk or just stare?" I snapped. "Patience," he said softly, almost a whisper. "Want to see how you react when you feel powerless. That tells me more than words ever." "Will." I froze, my pulse spiking. "Powerless? You think I'm powerless?" He leaned forward slightly, voice measured. "You let them make you feel that way. Rachel, her friends, they thrive on it, but you have options, choices." I clenched, my fists under the table. "And you, are you here to help me or just watch me squirm?" Alex's lips curved faintly. "I'm here to make sure you understand the difference between acting and overreacting, between shame and control." I swallowed hard, my anger tangling with confusion. Control? You make it sound so simple. Simple, yes. Easy, no. He leaned back, still calm. First rule, never let them see your panic. The second, never react when they expect it. I felt a flicker of understanding and a strange surge of hope. "So, and you're not on her side?" "Her side?" His gaze sharpened briefly. "I'm not anyone's side. I'm on mine. And for now, you're useful." Useful. My stomach tightened again. "You sound like a criminal or something." "Perhaps," he said, almost amused. "Hey, but everyone uses everyone else consciously. Or not. You're aware now. That's all that matters." I sat back, trying to make sense of it. He wasn't mocking. He wasn't complimenting. He was analyzing, calculating, like a chess player watching the board. Why me? I asked finally. Why bother with me at all? 'Cause you're awake, he said, voice low. You notice, you feel. Most people would just take the embarrassment and walk away. You don't, that's rare. I chewed my lip, a mixture of pride and unease swirling inside me. And what am I supposed to do about it? Nothing, yet he said. Observe, learn, decide. I felt uneasy. I wanted to leave, to run, but I couldn't. Something about the way he said it held me in place. My mind raced with possibilities. Revenge schemes, payback for years of Rachel's cruelty. You really think I can? I trailed off, unsure how to finish. Alex leaned forward, eyes locking on mine. I don't think. I know. And you will, Tiff. You choose to. I felt a chill run down my spine. His calm confidence was unsettling yet empowering. For the first time since the engagement party, I felt like I had a spark of control. All right, I whispered, almost to myself. I'm listening, he smiled. Faintly, a slow, unreadable curve. Good. That's all for now. We'll see how far you're willing to go. I left the coffee shop with my mind buzzing. Uneasy, yes, but alive in a way I hadn't been for years. Rachel had humiliated me, but now something had shifted. Something bigger was coming. And I wasn't entirely sure whose side Alex was on, but I felt, for the first time, like maybe I had one of my own. I watched Rachel from across the room, pretending to scroll through my phone, but every movement she made drew my attention. Her laugh was sharp, her words cutting, just as I remembered. But now I noticed the cracks, the little pauses, the tiny signs of insecurity she thought she was hiding. Can you believe he still lives like that? Rachel whispered to Sophie, her best friend, loud enough that I caught every syllable. Sophie shrugged, glancing at me briefly. Honestly, some people like their little apartments. No big deal, Rachel scoffed. No big deal. It's pathetic. I don't know why he even shows up anywhere. I tapped my screen casually, but my mind raced. Pathetic. Really? I muttered under my breath. Sophie's glance lingered for a second, curious, maybe even sympathetic. Later that night, my phone buzzed. Alex, remember, patience beats impulsiveness. I frowned at the message. Patience beats impulsiveness. Was he serious? Was he coaching me? Or testing me? I shook my head and typed back. Explain. No response. Just a tiny, almost imperceptible emoji of a chess pawn. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Chess, strategy, observation. That was his game. And somehow I was learning the rules. The next day I met Liam for coffee, desperate for someone to talk to. Rachel's. She's everywhere. I can't stop noticing how smug she is. Liam chuckled. Welcome to her world, man. But pay attention. She underestimates you more than you know. That's your advantage? Advantage? She humiliated me last week. Publicly. How is that an advantage? Perspective, Liam said. You can play smarter. Patience. Wait for the right moment. Watch her slip. And she will. I nodded slowly, letting the words sink in. Watch her. Slip. Patience. Not revenge yet, just observation. Later, I ran into Sophie at the cafe. She looked surprised to see me. Hey, I didn't expect you here. I shrugged, trying to appear casual. It's grabbing a coffee. You same listening. To her, energy, I guess. She's exhausting. Her tone was neutral, but I detected a hint of honesty I didn't expect. I leaned in slightly. Tell me something. Anything I should know about her weaknesses? Sophie hesitated, glancing around then. Whispered, she overestimates herself. Always. Everyone else is beneath her until they're not. I smiled faintly. That was exactly what I needed. And her friends, they follow her blindly. Most of them don't think for themselves. She shrugged. She's clever, but overconfident. That's dangerous for her sometimes. Dangerous. How? I asked, my pulse quickening. Sophie shook her head. I shouldn't be telling you this. But you seem different from the usual crowd she drives crazy. I nodded, hiding my excitement. Different. That's the word Alex used too. Different. Someone who notices. Someone who acts. That night, Alex's message came again. Observe. Predict. Wait for her to slip. I smiled faintly. It wasn't telling me to attack, just to prepare, to see. And I realized that was all I needed for now. Over the next few days, I followed Rachel's routines more closely, observing subtle patterns. She bragged about minor successes, dismissed criticism, and relied heavily on Sophie and her friends. For validation, every interaction revealed arrogance and overconfidence. Every small mistake she made, I noted silently. I called Liam again. She's predictable, almost laughably so. You're learning, he said. Just don't rush it. Karma isn't about speed, it's about precision. I ran through ideas, simple things. Minor truths whispered at the right time. Vacuous. Mistakes revealed subtly to the wrong person. Nothing cruel, nothing illegal, just clever. The satisfaction would come from watching her stumble, seeing her confidence crack naturally. Alex's guidance came in small bursts. A phrase here, a pause there. Cryptic, yes, but somehow perfect. Observe the environment, one message read. Not everyone is a friend. Not everyone is an enemy. And patience will turn the tide. I reflected on past betrayals, family. Jokes at my expense, friends who laughed too easily at my mistakes, Rachel's constant mocking. I realized I'd let it fester for too long. Now, I had a plan that wasn't about immediate revenge. It was about positioning, preparation, and quiet satisfaction. I caught myself smiling at the thought. For the first time in years, I felt a spark of control, a rush that wasn't fueled by humiliation, but by anticipation. Rachel had underestimated me as always. This time, I would be the one observing. Sophie popped into my thoughts again. She wasn't part of my plan, but she was a key piece in the puzzle, someone who could reveal truths without suspicion. I could use her subtly, without manipulation, just awareness. Later, I met Alex again. He didn't greet me with a smile. Just a nod. Progress? He asked, calm, patient, unreadable. Yes, I said, almost hesitantly. I see patterns. I see her flaws. Good, he said, voice quiet but firm. Now wait. Patience. Preparation. Observation. You don't. Act until the board is ready. I nodded, feeling a surge of power. The humiliation from the party felt distant now, almost trivial. I wasn't just a victim anymore. I was aware. I was plotting. I was patient, and that was the scariest thing for Rachel. Do you think I can? Really? Turn it around? I asked quietly. Alex studied me. You don't think you do? Small moves? Subtle? The game is yours to play, if you're ready? I left with a quiet determination, my mind buzzing with strategies. Karma would unfold naturally, cleverly, and with precision. Rachel would stumble, and I would be ready. For the first time. I felt like I wasn't just surviving her ridicule, I was learning, evolving, and quietly, inevitably, preparing my revenge, and the thrill of it was intoxicating. I watched Rachel from across the room, pretending to scroll through my phone, but every movement she made drew my attention. Her laugh was sharp, her words cutting, just as I remembered. I noticed the cracks, the little pauses, the tiny signs of insecurity she thought she was hiding. Can you believe he still lives like that? Rachel whispered to Sophie, her best friend, loud enough that I caught every syllable. Sophie shrugged, glancing at me briefly. Honestly? Some people like their little apartments? No big deal, Rachel scoffed. No big deal? It's pathetic. I don't know why he even shows up anywhere. I tapped my screen casually, but my mind raced. Pathetic? Really? I muttered under my breath. Sophie's glance lingered for a second, curious. Maybe even sympathetic. Later that night, my phone buzzed. Alex. Remember, patience beats impulsiveness. I frowned at the message. Patience beats impulsiveness. Was he serious? Was he coaching me? Or testing me? I shook my head and typed back. Explain. No response. Just a tiny, almost imperceptible emoji of a chess pawn. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Chess. Strategy. Observation. That was his game. Somehow I was learning the rules. The next day I met Liam for coffee, desperate for someone to talk to. Rachel's. She's everywhere. Can't stop noticing how smug she is. Liam chuckled. Welcome to her world, man. But pay attention, she underestimates you more than you know. She humiliated me last week publicly. How is that an advantage? Perspective, Liam said. Can play smarter. Patience. Wait for the right moment. Watch her slip, and she will. I nodded slowly, letting the words sink in. Watch her. Slip. Patience. Not revenge yet, just observation. Later, I ran into Sophie at the cafe. She looked surprised to see me. Hey, I didn't expect you here, I shrugged, trying to appear casual, just grabbing a coffee. You? Same. Listening. To her? Energy, I guess. She's exhausting. Her tone was neutral, but I detected a hint of honesty I didn't expect. I leaned in slightly. Tell me something. Anything I should know about her weaknesses? Sophie hesitated, glancing around then. Whispered, she overestimates herself. Always. Everyone else is beneath her until they're not. I smiled faintly. That was exactly what I needed. And her friends. They follow her blindly. Most of them don't think for themselves, she shrugged. She's clever, but overconfident. That's dangerous for her sometimes. Dangerous. How? I asked, my pulse quickening. Sophie shook her head. I shouldn't be telling you this. But you seem different from the usual crowd she drives crazy. I nodded, hiding my excitement. Different. That's the word Alex used too. Different. Someone who notices. Someone who acts. That night, Alex's message came again. Observe. Predict. Wait for her to slip. I smiled faintly. He wasn't telling me to attack, just to prepare to see. And I realized that was all I needed for now. Over the next few days, I followed Rachel's routines more closely, observing subtle patterns. She bragged about minor successes, dismissed criticism, and relied heavily on Sophie and her friends for validation. Every interaction revealed arrogance and overconfidence. Every small mistake she made, I noted silently. I called Liam again. She's predictable. Almost laughably so. You're learning, he said. Just don't rush it. Karma isn't about speed. It's about precision. I ran through ideas, simple things. Minor truths whispered at the right time, innocuous. Mistakes revealed subtly to the wrong person. Nothing cruel, nothing illegal, just clever. The satisfaction would come from watching her stumble, seeing her confidence crack naturally. Alex's guidance came in small bursts. A phrase here, a pause there. Cryptic, yes, but somehow perfect. Observe the environment. One message read, not everyone is a friend. Not everyone is an enemy. Patience will turn the tide. I reflected on past betrayals, family, jokes at my expense, friends who laughed too easily at my mistakes, Rachel's constant mocking. I realized I had let it fester for too long. Now, I had a plan that wasn't about immediate revenge. It was about positioning, preparation, and quiet satisfaction. I caught myself smiling at the thought. For the first time in years, I felt a spark of control, a rush that wasn't fueled by humiliation, but by anticipation. Rachel had underestimated me, as always. But this time, I would be the one observing. Sophie popped into my thoughts again. She wasn't part of my plan, but she was a key piece in the puzzle, someone who could reveal truths without suspicion. I could use her subtly, without manipulation, just awareness. Later, I met Alex again. He didn't greet me with a smile, just a nod. Progress, he asked, calm, patient, unreadable. Yes, I said, almost hesitantly. I see patterns, see her flaws. Good, he said, voice quiet but firm. Wait, patience, preparation, observation. You don't. Act until the board is ready. I nodded, feeling a surge of power. The humiliation from the party felt distant now, almost trivial. I wasn't just a victim anymore. I was aware. I was plotting. I was patient and that was the scariest thing for Rachel. Do you think I can? Really? Turn it around? I asked quietly. Alex studied me. You don't think you do? Small moves? Subtle? The game is yours to play, if you're ready. I left with a quiet determination, my mind buzzing with strategies. Karma would unfold naturally, cleverly, and with precision. I didn't need to act hastily. Rachel would stumble, and I would be ready. For the first time, I felt like I wasn't just surviving her ridicule, I was learning, evolving, and quietly, inevitably, preparing my revenge. And the thrill of it. It's intoxicating. The family gathering was louder than I expected, full of chatter and laughter, and of course, Rachel at the center of it all. It's radiating confidence as if nothing could touch her. I leaned against the kitchen counter, sipping water, letting her words wash over me. Calm, observant, patience. Alex's lessons replayed in my mind. Rachel laughed loudly, recounting a story about her promotion. And I told them I managed the entire project myself. They couldn't stop praising me. Honestly, it was effortless. Sophie shifted uncomfortably beside her. I caught the glance, subtle but telling she was uneasy. Oh, that was a good sign. Murmured quietly, almost to myself, effortless. Right, Rachel noticed. What's that? Did I say something funny? I shrugged casually, just thinking about how effortless things look from the outside. She tilted her head. Are you implying? Nothing, I said lightly, letting a faint smirk form. Just curious how people see it. The air felt charged. I could tell Uncle David, standing nearby, was listening carefully. He had always been a stickler for truth and subtlety. He cleared his throat. Rachel, he said calmly, I heard something different about that project. Something about the report submitted, and the errors that went unnoticed until last week. Rachel froze, mid-laugh. Errors, Uncle, that's impossible. I handled everything myself. The reports were perfect. Uncle David's gaze was steady. Apparently not. Several key details were missed, and someone else had to fix them. It caused quite a bit of confusion. Rachel's face tightened. That doesn't matter. I still managed the project. Everyone knows that. I watched her, fascinated. Her usual composure was cracking. The confident tone faltered. Micro-pauses revealed panic. She glanced around, seeking support, but Sophie avoided eye contact, and her friends looked uncertain. I whispered softly to myself, Karma. You're showing now. Alex leaned slightly against the doorway, smirking faintly. His presence was subtle but unmistakable. He didn't intervene, just observed his silence. Sharp and deliberate. Rachel's voice rose slightly, betraying frustration. I don't understand. Who told you that? It doesn't matter. Uncle David's expression didn't change. Facts matter more than perception, Rachel. You might want to check your assumptions next time. Her lips pressed into a thin line. I'll clarify it later, she stammered, clearly flustered. I stayed calm, as Alex had drilled into me. Observation over action. Patience over impulse. Watching her panic was intoxicating. Not cruel. Not malicious. Just natural consequences unfolding. Sophie whispered under her breath. I told you, Rachel. People notice. Rachel's face turned red. Shut up, Sophie. This isn't your concern. I murmured quietly, a faint thrill running through me. Looks like the world doesn't bend to arrogance. Rachel glanced at me, eyes narrowed. And what are you looking at? Are you enjoying this? I shrugged, calm, almost bored. Just noticing patterns. Actions have consequences. She bit her lip, panic mixing with humiliation. You think this is funny? Not funny, I said softly. Satisfying. That's different. Her friends murmured amongst themselves, exchanging awkward glances. The confidence she relied on for validation was gone. Subtle whispers. Nervous laughter. It wasn't loud, but it was enough. Uncle David shook his head slightly. Rachel, integrity matters more than image. Perhaps now you'll understand." Her hands trembled slightly as she reached for her drink. I didn't. I didn't. I noticed her posture slump, her usual arrogance replaced by vulnerability. That was the moment I realized I didn't need to act directly. Karma was doing the work for me. Every insult, every boast, every attempt to undermine me had come back. Naturally, Alex's eyes met mine briefly, that faint smirk again. I understood he hadn't needed to intervene. He had set me on the path. Yes, but now. The universe was handling the rest. Rachel turned to Sophie, voice tight. "Why didn't you stop him?" Sophie's response was quiet but firm. "Because this isn't about stopping anyone. It's about truth." Rachel's lips trembled. She looked at me, eyes wide, unsure, vulnerable. You've been waiting?" "Waiting," I said softly, calm. "Patience is underrated." Her shoulders slumped, and she muttered, I never thought." I let the silence stretch, feeling the weight of every moment. No gloating, no insult. Just quiet observation, letting events unfold naturally. Every misstep, every exposed truth, every micro-expression, it all built satisfaction that was deeper than revenge. Alex's presence lingered in my mind. He hadn't taught me cruelty. He had taught me strategy, composure, and patience.
Ow.
Watching Rachel falter, I realized the power of calm observation. Karma wasn't loud, but it was undeniable. Her voice broke slightly, almost a whisper. I didn't mean to hurt anyone." I leaned back, feeling the rush of quiet triumph. Intentions matter less than actions. You'll understand that now. Rachel's eyes dropped. She looked smaller, less imposing, vulnerable, human, and I felt satisfaction, not cruelty. Lessons had been delivered naturally, with consequences unfolding precisely as they should. Sophie shifted beside her. "Maybe this is a wake-up call," she said softly. Rachel didn't respond. Her arrogance had dissolved, leaving panic, regret, and confusion. And I realized I didn't need to move a finger. Karma, patience, and observation had done more than I could have orchestrated myself. I smiled, faintly calm. The first strike had been subtle. The second, quiet.
Ow.
Watching her crumble under the weight of her own mistakes, I understood. Patience was far more powerful than any immediate action, and for the first time in months, I felt completely in control. I didn't expect her to come to my apartment, but when Rachel's voice rang through the doorbell, sharp and impatient, I felt the familiar tension twist in my chest. I opened the door. Finally. She snapped, stepping inside without waiting. "For an invitation? I need to know what's going on with you. Since the party you've changed, you're different, confident, calm. How?" I leaned against the doorway, hands in my pockets, letting her words sink. Calm. That was my strength now. Different how? I asked lightly. "Don't play dumb," she snapped, stepping closer. I don't even know." "You don't. React like before? You don't stutter. You don't. You don't let me get to you." I let a faint smile form. "I'm listening, Rachel. But it sounds like you're more surprised than curious." She stopped, frustration flickering across her face. "I've humiliated you, publicly. Private jokes, mocking your career, your choices, everything. And now you're untouchable." Nodded slowly. Not untouchable, observant, patient. I noticed patterns. Actions have consequences. Words have weight. Rachel's eyes widened. Patterns. Wait, are you serious? Since when do you talk like this? Since I stopped letting anger and humiliation dictate my reactions, I said softly, keeping my tone steady, since I realized that control lies in patience, not in fighting every insult immediately. She shook her head, incredulous. "You've changed completely. Who taught you this?" I shrugged lightly. "No one." Or maybe someone subtle, someone who doesn't need to push, just guide. Her brow furrowed. Alex? That man? He's been behind this? I met her gaze evenly. Not behind me, simply reminded me. To see clearly, observe, wait, understand. He never told me what to do, just how to think. Rachel's lips pressed into a thin line. So all this, your calm, your confidence, it's not natural? I let her words hang in the air. Confidence. Without control is chaos. I've learned to separate the two. You might call it unnatural. I call it growth. Her hands trembled slightly. You're enjoying this, aren't you? I shook my head. I'm not enjoying humiliation, Rachel. I'm observing consequences. Actions speak louder than insults. Patterns reveal truths. That's all. She laughed bitterly. All these years, I thought I was in control. I mocked you, belittled you, and you just took it. I learned, I said quietly. I watched, I waited, I prepared. You never noticed because arrogance blinds you. I didn't need to. Act immediately. Karma has its own timing. Her eyes widened slightly. Karma, she whispered, almost afraid of the word. Yes, I said softly, stepping closer. The natural consequences of actions, your arrogance, your manipulation, it all comes back. Not because I sought revenge, but because consequences don't lie. Rachel's shoulders slumped slightly, and for the first time, I saw vulnerability, not just panic or shame, but real, raw realization. You didn't think anyone would notice? I prompted gently. Yes, she admitted quietly. I thought you'd always be. Small, weak, a target. I smiled faintly, calm but precise.
Yes.
I was underestimated. You always underestimated me. That was your pattern, your mistake. She shook her head slowly. I can't believe it. All this time, I thought I controlled everything. And now, her voice faltered. Now I see. You're different. Stronger. Smarter. Yes, I said quietly, almost matter-of-factly. I am. Not because of spite, not because of anger, because I chose to observe and learn. You chose to act without thinking. That's the difference. Lips trembled. So, all this time, you were aware? I nodded. Completely. Every insult, every joke, every attempt to undermine me, I noticed. I filed it away. And now I choose my moment, not you. She looked at me, eyes wide, voice shaky. I can't manipulate you anymore.
You're
Untouchable. I shook my head gently. Touchable isn't the point. I'm simply aware and prepared. Control isn't in attacking others, it's in mastering yourself first. Her lips parted, almost in disbelief. You're not the same person I knew. I let the pause stretch. The weight of her realization filled the room. She couldn't manipulate me. She couldn't provoke me. She was finally seeing the consequences of her arrogance. Alex, leaning casually in. The corner didn't speak. His smirk was subtle, almost imperceptible, but I felt it. He had guided me subtly, yes, but I had acted on my own. The control, the patience, the commit was mine. Rachel's hands trembled, her face pale. I don't understand. How did you? By observing, I said softly. By waiting. By realizing that words and actions have weight. Assumed I was weak. You assumed I'd react impulsively. That was your error. She sank slightly into the chair, stunned, silent for the first time. The arrogance that had defined her for years was gone. Only shock, only realization, only regret remained. I leaned back, calm, satisfied but not cruel. You might call it change. I call it awareness. And now, you know the truth. Her eyes stayed on me, wide and uncomprehending. The truth? Yes, I said, soft but firm. I am no longer the person you can manipulate, and that is all you need to know. She didn't speak. She didn't argue. She just stared, finally understanding the full measure of what she had lost: the control, the power, the arrogance, and I finally felt unshakable. The family gathering felt different this time. I walked in calmly, shoulders back, every step measured. Rachel was there, her usual sparkle dimmed, the arrogance gone. Even from across the room, I could see the subtle tension in her posture. The way she hesitated before speaking. Sophie approached me first. "You look different," she said, her voice soft but observant. "Calmer," I replied lightly, smiling faintly. "Focused," she nodded. "It's noticeable. You don't react the way you used to." "I've learned to wait," I said. Observation first. Reaction later, if needed." Rachel's eyes met mine from across the room. She flinched slightly, and for a second, I saw the old arrogance struggling to break through, but it didn't. She approached cautiously, words measured. You're still the same," she said, tone quiet, almost hesitant, but different, confident, composed. I never thought." "You underestimated me," I said softly, calm but precise. "That was your mistake, not mine." Her lips pressed together. I can't believe it. After everything. Patience matters more than anger," I replied. I didn't seek revenge. I allowed consequences to speak." Rachel's face fell. "Consequences, you mean? Karma?" I nodded. "Exactly. Actions have weight. Words have weight. You chose yours carelessly. I simply observed." She looked down, silence stretching between us. I didn't realize. I never thought that I'd rise above," I asked softly. "That I'd be ready. You assumed I'd react impulsively, let humiliation define me. But I learned control, patience, and composure. That's what matters." Her hands trembled slightly. I see that now." From the corner of the room, I caught Alex's gaze. He nodded once, faintly, almost imperceptibly. No words, just acknowledgement. Our unspoken alliance had succeeded. I didn't need guidance anymore. The lesson had been internalized. Rachel's voice was quieter now, almost a whisper. I thought I could manipulate you. That I could always provoke you. And now, you're untouchable." "Untouchable isn't the point," I said calmly. "Awareness is. Confidence built on understanding, patience, and self-respect. That's untouchable." Her eyes widened slightly. I can't believe I didn't see it. All those years, every insult, every joke. I thought you were weak. I was wrong." "Yes," I said softly, "you were. And now you understand the difference. Between reaction and reflection, between anger and composure." She looked down, voice breaking slightly. I never meant to hurt you, I thought. I thought I was clever, untouchable. "And now?" I asked gently. Her gaze met mine, vulnerable. "Now I see I wasn't. I see the consequences. I see you." I felt a quiet satisfaction, not malicious, not cruel, just a calm realization. The humiliation, the lessons, the patience that had all built to this moment. I had learned more than revenge. I had learned strength, control, and the power of observing before acting. Sophie smiled faintly. "Looks like the game's over, Rachel." Rachel nodded slowly. "Yes, the game's over. I understand now." I took a deep breath. Good. Understanding is the first step toward change. I won't gloat. I won't punish. The natural course of actions has already delivered the lesson. That's enough. Rachel's eyes softened. I'll try to be better. Not just for you, but for myself. I nodded once, satisfied. That's all anyone can do. Learn, reflect, and move forward. Alex stepped closer, finally speaking softly. Patience and observation. Greatest weapons. You've mastered them well. Remember, control over yourself is more powerful than control over others. I looked at him, calm. I understand. Your guidance, subtle as it was Worked, but I had to make it mine. He nodded, eyes unreadable. Exactly. Lessons aren't true until they're internalized. You've internalized yours. I glanced back at Rachel. Life isn't about proving dominance. It's about knowing your worth, maintaining integrity, and letting actions, not words, define you. That's victory. Rachel's lips trembled, but she nodded. I see that now. Thank you, I think, for showing me. Not showing, I said softly, observing, watching, learning, and now, moving forward. The room felt lighter somehow. The tension dissolved, replaced with a quiet understanding. I had arrived at this point not through malice, but through patience and reflection. There's no elaborate schemes, no cruelty, just the natural course of awareness and consequence. Alex's gaze lingered for a moment longer. Then he slipped quietly toward the door. I didn't need him anymore. His role was complete. His presence, a shadow that had guided me, but now I stood fully in my own power. I turned back to Rachel. You'll make mistakes again, of course. We all do. But now, perhaps you'll notice. Before it's too late. She nodded, quietly accepting her defeat. Humbled, but still alive. I'll remember. I smiled faintly, inwardly calm. That's all I ever wanted. Not humiliation, not revenge. Awareness, strength, self-respect, and I have them. The family gathered around, laughter and chatter returning, but I walked among them differently, now confident, composed, unshakable. The past humiliation, the public ridicule, the constant undermining, all of it had transformed me. Not bitterness, not anger, just quiet power and self-respect. I glanced once more toward where Alex had stood. No words, just acknowledgement. The lesson complete. Karma delivered, betrayal confronted, and I had grown stronger because of it. I exhaled quietly, a slow smile forming. This is victory, quiet, earned, and mine. For the first time in years, I felt fully in control.